Welcome to the Dunn Wisdom Show, where faith meets focus and wisdom meets real life. Each week, we sit down with change makers, trailblazers, and leaders who embody courage, integrity, and wisdom in action. Hi, I'm your host, Melissa P. Dunn, and today we are exploring what happens when faith moves beyond the pulpit and become a movement that transforms lives. Our guest is Pastor Kyle and Prophetess Monique Henry. They are the heart and vision behind the City of Grace, Florida. Their journey is one of redemption, resilience, and relentless faith, from humble beginnings to personal trials to leading a thriving ministry that serves the community with love and purpose. Their story proves that when grace is in motion, miracles happen. Together, they're turning their faith into action, their marriage into ministry, and their calling into a catalyst for change, inspiring countless others to walk boldly in their purpose. So, grab your coffee or tea and open up your heart. Get ready to be inspired, because today we're diving deep into grace in motion, turning faith into a movement. Pastor Kyle and Prophetess Henry, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
I am so grateful that you guys are able to join us today. Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Let Pastor Kyle go first.
Go, Pastor Kyle.
Our journey, my journey started off where I came from Trinidad, a beautiful island, and in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And my mother moved us here to this country, and it was difficult. Being a young sprout, my knees is bigger than my head, and it was just...
How old were you when you moved?
I was around 10,
okay.
maybe 11 years. No, around 10 years. 10 years old.
Yeah, about the same time when I moved from Jamaica.
Wow, yeah. And it was tough, going to school here, because, you have an accent. You don't fit in. You don't.
Culture shock.
Yeah, it was a very big culture shock. And my mother had us in Brooklyn, New York. We grew up, went to school there, and it was tough. These kids did not make it easy.
I
These
remember.
Yankee kids. Oh my goodness.
Because you came up in the 90s or the 80s?
I came up in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah. Things were rough for us back then.
Yeah.
Being Jamaican wasn't cool, or being Trinidadian wasn't cool. The accent wasn't cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And when I was in school, it was difficult. The kids grew into something I didn't want it to be, because I was trying to fit in. So I was looking for the closest thing that could make me a tough guy, and I joined the gang, and then I started learning how to run a gang, and started to deal with drugs, and all that was a part of my journey before I met my beautiful, wife here, and then we moved to Florida, and that's where things took a turn.
Well, slow down a little bit. Slow down just a little bit. So you grew up, you migrated from Trinidad to here, you were in New York, and during that time you kind of got caught up in the wrong crowd. Could you share a little bit about your mindset? What were you thinking back in those days when you were running the streets?
Well, my mindset was basically, this is hell on earth. When you die, you got to go to heaven. So I did not really care about living. I was really very heartless. They call me Diablo.
Yes.
They call me Trigger. I build the name Trigger and Trigger this, and I believe the name kept me protected. I believe the status kept me protected, and I used to sell a lot of drugs. It was bad. Police officers, they'll be outside my door when I come outside, say, "Look at your eyes. It look like you just smoke a pound of weed." And I'm like, "Look at your eyes. It look like you just sniff a key of coke." Very rebellious.
Wow.
I was a rebellious young man. But thank God for grace.
Thank God for grace.
Yes.
And so how old were you in this time? In your early 20s?
It was probably around 15, 16 years old of age when I got introduced to it, and the gang life, and early 20s, I was deep in it. I was running, leading an entire block, and it was not a pretty sight. Looking back at it, I really thank God for His grace, because it had people who would come to kill me, people would put guns on me and pull the trigger, the bullet would miss me, and the type of life, I saw friends next to me drop dead, you know, and the type of life, it was normal. It was very traumatizing, but it was my normal.
It was your normal. And so in the meantime, when he was on this track, what was happening with you?
I would say, like, my journey is like an exchange of destiny. From I was in middle school, I always wanted to work for Sean Puffy Combs. And so my parents knew that, and my stepfather was the one actually that put me on a track to get my name out there. So he taught me networking from a distance. He said, you know, every birthday you're going to call the bad boy office and you're going to wish him a happy birthday. And I'm like, Daddy, they ain't going to speak to me. He's like, I don't care. But that did help me to get an internship with Sean John. And
What?
Yes. And at that time, it was just about to launch. And so I left from Florida. I went to New York. Funny enough, he was the first person that I saw on the block that I was going to live on. But I did the internship, and everything was going well. Until, you know, I started to wonder what was happening with some of the women there. All of us were about 19, 20. And so, you know, being there in new city, big, exciting, different cultures, and nobody was making friends with me. You know, it was just like a bunch of girls, and they would go out together. And I remember one day I asked them, and I never grew up in church. I asked one of them, and I said, you know, where do y'all go? Can I be invited? And she started to say, you know, we have to do what we have to do to move up the ladder.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing with him, but with other executives. And so, you know, immediately when I heard that, it's like I felt like this presence of evil. And again, I didn't grow up in church. And that was my last day there.
Wow.
And so leaving from Florida with everyone in my high school class knowing this is what I want to do, and it not working out, it kind of left me in a state of confusion because I had no other plan. I was going to work for this man. I was going to help him build his brand. At that time, I saw him as someone so powerful and influential.
Right,
and I just wanted to be some part of a driving force behind that. But then fast forward, you know, different opportunities came for me to meet him. And I didn't get discouraged in working for him. I just got discouraged in hearing how you would move up.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with the mindset.
Culture
Correct.
And the mindset.
And the culture, yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't want no parts of that. And so, yeah.
So at that time, so y'all were both living in New York. Did you meet each other then?
While I was interning, yes, we were both in relationships. We liked each other, but we weren't going to take it there.
Okay.
And so my family was very adamant on don't even look twice over there because that is the devil.
So your family knew your reputation, Diablo.
Yes, they called him Diablo.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, but he's cute, you know? But I left it alone, and I had to stay focused because I was also going to school. But that, you know, that's another thing to show. You can't always listen to people. They do have your best interest at heart, but God is the one that ultimately knows your life.
She would look out the window and see me on the couch, and I'm there sleeping, selling drugs to people, and she would start praying for me and didn't even know, like, didn't even have a relationship with God. Like, yeah. And we used to see each other on the Q train when we traveling back and forth, and we'd have conversations, and our friendship just grew.
Because aside from him selling drugs, what really drew me to him is the fact that he had a vision. He wanted to open his own maintenance garage. Mechanic shop, thank you. And so I was like, okay, you're a drug dealer and you got these plans? Okay. And it kind of was intriguing. But listening to him, I'm like, he doesn't want to do this, you know? But I understood that what he was around, that was more of a driving force for him to be in that life.
And so you were praying for his deliverance, and you didn't even realize what was happening.
Yeah.
So then you both moved down to Florida together?
Yes. So here's the story about that. This last night that we were in New York, we got dressed up, we were like giving it one last shebang. Got dressed up and we leave and we end up on the Macy's on 34th Street. Big crowd, red carpet, all of that. So I rolled down the window. I'm like, who's going to be here? They were like, Puff Daddy. I was like, park the car. This is it. This is my opportunity. And, I know now because of the way that I was dressed, that's why I didn't get tackled by security and all of that stuff. And they probably thought I was his assistant. And so got beyond the red rope, and I'm like, okay, this is it.
This is the moment
Monique,
that your dad
life
has
together.
been telling you about,
Yes,
right?
like, get your life together. You know your pitch, and that's it. So he pulls up, and of course, I go plumb fool. And I'm like, Puffy, it's me, Monique. I wanted to work for you. It didn't work out at Sean John. He's like, okay, let me work the carpet, and then we're going to go upstairs and we're going to talk. So the whole time I'm like, this is happening. Maybe I don't need to go back to Florida. This is going to be my life. This is the life that I planned out.
Yeah.
And, we go in the doors of Macy's, and I think he was launching Unforgivable at that time. And Kyle comes, and he is like, babe, they won't let me in. Security stops him, like, you can't go up there. And I look at him, I look at Puff Daddy, I look at him, and I let his hand go.
Wow.
And
I was saying, are you dumb?
We wasn't
You better
saved at
go
the time,
back.
so
This
he
is
didn't
your,
say, are you dumb? He said another word.
and this is your opportunity. Go back.
But I remember standing in that corridor.
You let Puffy's hand go.
I let his hand go. He looked back at me like, okay, and just kept walking. And I remember being in that corridor.
You chose destiny.
I chose
You chose destiny. I love that.
And it was, now at the moment, it was utter confusion for me because I couldn't understand what happened. And it wouldn't be until years later that
you will understand God saved you.
God saved
you. Wonderful.
He saved me.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. It's a great conversation. You don't want to miss it.
Hey, if you are a high achieving woman out here doing all the things right, but still feeling stuck, stop. I mean it. I want you to stop for a minute. I am literally right here sitting on a couch in Salt Lake City with this gorgeous view behind me, and I am thinking about how many of us are out here praying for clarity, but still operating out of alignment. Ladies, you don't need more discipline. You don't need another planner. What you need is to know exactly what's holding you back. Your mindset, your leadership habits, your systems, or even your personal brand. My Freedom 90 scorecard will tell you in 2 minutes exactly what it is. It's free, it's fast, and it's going to show you how to realign so that you can walk into 2026 with peace and with purpose. Go ahead, take it now. Don't guess, get clarity.
All right, welcome back. We're with Prophetess Monique Henry and Pastor Kyle Henry. So you guys decided, you're now together, and you decided to move to Florida together. Are you saved at that time?
No.
Okay.
We wouldn't get saved until 2 years later in 2007.
2007. So how did that happen?
For me, it was a drawing. I kept feeling an urge to be in the house of the Lord. Again, I didn't grow up saved, and so it was just like a pulling to be around people that were spiritual and grounded, and so for me, that's what it was.
For me, you have to be careful of not judging people, because one of her friends invited us to a Bible study, and the young lady used to come over to our house and search up porn sites and stuff like that, teach us how to eat free in the country, doing some scamming stuff. And I'm like, ain't no way I'm coming to no Bible study with this lady. She's a hypocrite. I ain't going there. That was my mind. And then her boyfriend called, and something in his voice said, go. So I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, babe, we're going to go. And we had plans to go to the casino for the first time, but thank God we didn't go. Thank God we didn't go. We went to yeah, and they had
I love that.
A little Bible study.
and it was a
in
Bible
Lauderhill.
study. Yeah.
In Lauderhill.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
saved in Lauderhill.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Okay.
It's right behind, right there where
By the city hall.
City Hall. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
And
Invery something, I can't remember.
yeah, and we went to the Bible study, and they taught about Billy Wise. They showed something about this
23 minutes in hell.
23 minutes in hell, and something in my brain clicked, like, man, there's really a
is
place
not
called hell. Like, no, like, so something shifted in my mind, like, no, I gotta really know who this God is. And I started having a thirst to read the Bible, and we'll go home and we'll have our own personal Bible studies.
So
and
y'all got saved at the same time together. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a powerful
That
story.
Bible study was from 6 in the evening, and we didn't leave till 6 in the morning.
Yeah, sometimes we go to work the next day,
Yeah,
straight to work.
Straight to work.
Yeah.
It was a group of young people that all of us, we just were hungry.
Yeah.
And we had a pastor there that would, help guide us and ask and answer questions that we had. But it was just such a hunger and a thirst in the room, like no one wanted to leave.
We used to go out and evangelize, right? And they had one night, this kid came to me and said, you got chronic? I'm like, oh, I got something better than chronic, man. I got Jesus. He was like, so he went and called his friends thinking I had like a drug better than weed. And I went and I got the guys from the Bible study, like, hey, I got a kid come in and preparing them. And when the kid came, man, we started to evangelize to him, and
They
two of
got
them
saved.
gave their life to Christ. They put their hands up and
Wow.
surrendered. And I'm like, God, this is it, man. I don't want nothing else.
Wow. And so you turned your life around.
Yeah.
Yes.
You turned your life around.
Yes.
So when we talk about grace in motion, you guys are a perfect example of that.
Grace in motion. I mean, we came, rugged off the streets and just, untrained. And came into an atmosphere that was so welcoming. Like, they didn't judge where we were. They just helped us to get a better understanding of who God is. And so it was great. It was great. I thank God for that Bible study.
And with everything, they have their
And
flaws.
my friend, even though he didn't like her.
Yeah. Now she's my number one. Yeah. But everything have its flaws, because they were telling us, like, some of them were telling us, like, we've been together so long, it's like we're married, so we don't need to
Yeah.
be married, But when I read in the scriptures, no, something is wrong about this teaching, So certain things I understood what to take and what not to take, because I know the God of the Bible. Like, I was getting to know who he is, and I think that made the big difference in our journey. Like, it'll have times when she'll come out the shower and walk by the
We
room.
are on TV.
But that's okay. Speak your truth. Speak your truth,
She'll
sir.
come out the shower and walk by the room with the doors open. I'm like, nope, we're not married. I know what the scripture said. I'm like, nope, you ain't
And
tempting
at
me.
that time, also, we wanted to make sure that we were supposed to be together.
Yes.
So, one, we knew we were living together, and that shouldn't have been a thing. But at that time, when we started to dig deep in the Word, it was, okay, I need to abstain from sex and everything concerning him, because I want to make sure I'm with the right person.
Yes.
At that time, we were learning about God's permissive will and his perfect will.
Yes.
So we were praying different. We're like, if this is not perfect, if this is not in your perfect plan for us, then we don't want it. And it was okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how long before you got an answer and decided to get married?
It was about a couple months later. We went to a church. Shout out to Redeeming Lighthouse of God. Went to a church and visited, and we sat on different sides.
Separate.
It was like we didn't come in together. And the Lord used the apostle at the ministry, Apostle Jillian Bissett, used her to call us together, and she said, you guys are supposed to be married. This is
Wow.
your wife and this is your husband. So I was like, whew, in my little rebellious mind, I'm like, we can have sex now. But but we could not, because we weren't married.
It wasn't happening, not on my watch.
Not on your watch, okay.
But it was a great journey. We grew together, and yes, it was very hard to do, and sometimes still is. But I know that this is the God ordained man that I'm supposed to be with, and prayerfully he
love
knows
that.
that I'm the woman.
Yeah, this is kingdom. This
It's
is definitely
kingdom.
I love
Yes,
that.
perfect
I love
word.
that. And so you guys got married, and I know that you recently had a baby, but even that was a journey.
Yes, we waited 20 years for our bundle of joy, and in that wait the wait felt like a nightmare.
Wow.
I had suffered 2 miscarriages, but in the midst of all that, I learned so much about myself. My insecurities and different things that I struggled with, jealousy and a lot of things that we don't really talk about. God allowed me to see that in the place where I wanted something so bad and I couldn't have it at that moment because he needed me to be emotionally ready. And, sometimes we we can kick against the prick or, do craziness because we want what we want when we want it. But God's waiting time is perfect. If we had Kair, Ethan Henry, when we wanted him, I think that we would have damaged him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because us growing together, we did some damage to each other and had to heal and get delivered from that. And having a child in that midst, I came from a household of domestic violence. And he came from the streets. And so those two worlds coming together, me always wanting to fight instead of communicate, it would have damaged him.
It had times when I'm calling the police, just so they could come to the house. And when they get here, I'm like, thank God y'all here so I could get out.
Wow.
But they're thinking it's me. I'm the aggressor when it wasn't me. It was her. So it's two people. Marriage is two people coming together with their own baggage, and we got to learn to work together to make it one. So marriage is not easy. We had a lot to go through and a lot of counseling sessions to go through, ups and downs in our relationship before we could get this gift of Kair. And, it had a time when we went to Trinidad for the first time, and there was a shark on the beach all of a sudden. Everybody, shark, everybody running out of the water. And when I look back, my wife is there like, Kyle, and she's doing the little, certain people on the TV show, they see them fall like 10 times. I look back, I'm like, because the fear and the adrenaline, and she's falling, and I'm like 2 steps and she's falling. I'm like, what is wrong with this girl? And I see the fin is going towards her, and I got a decision to make. Do I leave and just get a new wife, or do I go and try to, save my wife, and I went back there and I started to punch that water, and every punch I'm like, there goes my hand, but it ended up being a seal. But it showed me, like, I'm willing to put my life on the line for this woman, it showed me that marriage is really selfless. You can't, it's not about one person, it's two becoming one. So we had a lot to go through, a lot to learn, and it wasn't easy. So having a baby, and it would have been a lot on that baby plate. He would have needed counseling by the age of 2.
Like, God, are these the right parents?
Wow. So you guys had to heal your own individual trauma and then the trauma that you were co-creating as a couple in order for you to be ready to receive what God had for you.
Yes.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Baby is happy. When you see my baby is happy. He's a happy baby.
He really is. And he's a good baby. He's very calm and quiet, very nice, a good baby.
Because we healed, our entire community is coming together because of our baby. We've been invited into people's houses that we would have never been invited to because of our baby. Like,
and it's really because they've watched us grow and us wait. I could share briefly. I remember when the last time that I got pregnant and I miscarried. And at the time, the church, I think it was like 7 women that were pregnant. We all were going to give birth around the same time, including my best friend. And when I lost my baby, I had to go through watching all of the women.
All the baby showers
and the Lord
the
said to me, and you will show up at every baby shower with a gift and a smile. And I went with the gift and I went with the smile, but I was dying on the inside because I just couldn't understand at the time why I could not want this one thing that, I thought would be great for both of us. And being married to Pastor Kyle, he's a great man. And so those insecurities also would play on me, like, what if I never give him a child?
Wow.
So it was a lot, but I look at it and I said, I would do it all over again. The lessons that I learned, my first friendship counseling was from that because I was jealous of my best friend walking around pregnant and huffing and puffing all over the place, and, just got to really do an introspective look at the things that I was struggling, the things that I thought would make me a woman.
Wow. And trust me, I understand that pain because I lost my own baby and I lost a pregnancy too. It is a challenge,
it's a challenge
for sure. It's a
and
challenge.
I don't think we talk enough about it.
We don't.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for sharing your story with such truth and vulnerability. We'll be right back to continue the conversation.
Hey, if you are a high achieving woman out here doing all the things right, but still feeling stuck, stop. I mean it. I want you to stop for a minute. I am literally right here sitting on a couch in Salt Lake City with this gorgeous view behind me, and I am thinking about how many of us are out here praying for clarity, but still operating out of alignment. Ladies, you don't need more discipline. You don't need another planner. What you need is to know exactly what's holding you back. Your mindset, your leadership habits, your systems, or even your personal brand. My Freedom 90 scorecard will tell you in 2 minutes exactly what it is. It's free, it's fast, and it's going to show you how to realign so that you can walk into 2026 with peace and with purpose. Go ahead, take it now. Don't guess, get clarity.
So we're back with Pastor Kyle and Prophetess Monique Henry. So I am so grateful that you guys are able to share your journey. So now we're at the point where you have a ministry in Lauderhill called the City of Grace, Florida, and you just celebrated your 8th anniversary.
Yes, we celebrated our 8th year anniversary, and it has been a journey. Shout out to our Bishop David Law and Pastor Michelle Law. You know, they have really been a guiding light for us. They saw the call of God on our life and launched us out. Yeah. And it really is because of, you know, God and their guidance that we have made it this far. Because ministry is very different than how we grew up in ministry. Yeah. You know, it's a tug and war because people are comfortable and they want everything conveniently. Yeah. And so to be involved in serving, sometimes it's hard.
And to keep that same heart posture, you know, knowing that it's a revolving door. People will be with you 1 minute, the next minute you step on their toe and they're ready to quit. It's very difficult, you know, but it's not. It's good to have them in our corner.
Yeah,
you know. God called us.
I can tell you that you guys have been a blessing to the city of Lauderhill because of your church. I know you both serve on the LHPP. You're the chairwoman of the Community Context Sub-Council, doing a lot of work around the Lauderhill Peace 365 movement. And I believe that our collaboration proves that it's possible for government and faith to move together.
Definitely.
And transform communities.
Definitely. And, you know, I can remember marching with you, Commissioner, during 2020 and the stir and heart cry of the nation with what happened to George Floyd. And us being an example of what peace looks like, because we didn't have a walk that was a march that was terrorizing to the community, because that was counter, you know, what we were trying to do. But just being able to allow God to pour vision, and to highlight what we really need to focus on, you know. And it's been a pleasure serving on Lauderhill Peace LHPP. And it's been a pleasure laboring with you. You know, it is very possible for church and government. Matter of fact, it's a mandate that God gives us. Yes. Because we're called to take care of people, to serve people. Yes. And so you can't have one without the other. And I believe sometimes leaders, spiritual and governmental, we can neglect each other or just think that we don't need each other. But we need to work together for the betterment of the community, the region, the nation. And it is possible.
It is possible. I agree 100%. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you could share, perhaps with a young couple that's looking for the same grace in motion that you found in your ministry and your marriage?
It's about people. It's about building families. It's about reaching, you know, those who have lost their voice to speak up. You know, I believe God have us in the community for a reason, and we just gotta go out there and do the dirty part of it. Not a lot of people want to do that part, and I'm happy you know, that you're there in the community with us. You know, we're making Lauderhill beautiful, planting gardens. We're going into neighborhoods where it will be frowned upon, and schools that will be frowned upon, and we're trying to beautify it from within. And I think that's where we gotta continue, you know, to make our efforts, because good things come out of broken pieces.
Yes,
Amen.
I love
Amen.
that. Good
Amen.
things come out of broken pieces.
Yes.
Final words of wisdom.
I would say to trust the voice of God. You know, a lot of people think that they can't hear him, but he's always speaking. You know, he's the voice that tells you don't when you know that you shouldn't. You know, and so just following the voice of God and not being afraid to work with others and serving others.
I love that. Live in
practice
service.
Living service.
Live
There
in
you go.
service. Thank you guys so much for having such an open and vulnerable conversation.
Thank you for having
It really
us.
blessed me a
Thank
lot.
you for having us.
This has been another episode of the Dunn Wisdom Show. I am, again, your host, Melissa P. Dunn, and this has been an example of Grace in Motion. I'd like for you to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Text the word Freedom90 to 545454. I have a special gift for you. I believe that this tool is going to bless you in a way to help you to find alignment with your mind, body, and soul. Again, Pastor Kyle reminds us that grace is in motion and lives can be changed, families are strengthened, and communities can be transformed when we work together. So, thank you so much for watching. Text Freedom90 to 545454 to receive my free Freedom 90 scorecard. Be well, everyone. Remember, walk good.